Welcome to Mama Talk Talks A Different Take, a podcast where everyday people around the globe share a different take on everyday issues. I'm your host, Abi Mambo, and I'm pleased you're joining us today. Welcome.
Hi, Suman. Welcome to Mama Talk Talks A Different Take.
Hi, ma'am. How are you?
I'm doing well. I gotta tell you, I was cool with the whole lockdown thing for a long time because I'm an introvert. It didn't really bother me. But now I'm starting to get to the point where it's like, okay, I need to just get out and go somewhere. How are you coping in India?
It's been a surreal experience, really. We came here for my kids' spring break, like 2.5 months back, to spend exactly 5 days. And we've still been here being my mom's place. I've been at my mom's place for 2.5 months now. And I did some calculation. It's the longest I have stayed with my mom since before college. So in my parents' house. So it's been great for the kid, of course, but but you know what would happen if you stay with your mom and dad for so long. So it's going well though.
They forget that you have your own life sometimes. But I also imagine that it's kind of nice, right, to have, I mean, your daughter is probably having a lot of fun, but just for her to have her grandparents spending that quality time with her is also just great.
Absolutely. I mean, she's very close to her grandparents. Yeah. And I mean, if we had to get locked down, I would rather be here than anywhere else. So we are in a good place.
Are you sure you would rather be at a beach resort? No, you would have run out of money. We would have all run out of money right now. We would all be out of money by now. Yeah. So yeah, before we got on, you were telling me about, are those clothes yours?
Oh, ma'am. Well, actually, since I came with 5 t-shirts, this is great because I've been borrowing all my mom's Indian outfits. It's incredible. Every Zoom call, I didn't bring any formal clothes because it was really a quick trip. And all my office Zoom calls are with my mom's outfits.
I'm just going to ask you, like, why are you dressed like a woman your mom's age? And you're like, because they're her clothes? Oh my word. We just have to have such a sense of humor about this thing, right? Because
it's incredible.
It's been just incredible on so many levels. I keep saying, I have this quote now that I came up with. I say for 2020, it's odd. It's very odd how 2020 is, given that it's an even year, right? I mean, you would think that it's supposed to be even and smooth sailing, but my word, it's only June, and between coronavirus and everything that's going on in the US right now, it's like, brother.
It's like 2020 is hindsight, right? We say hindsight is 2020, so it's 2020 to tell us every single thing as a human species we have done wrong in our entire evolution, and this is coming to bear.
Yeah, it's an amazing time. It's a time for reflection. I remember someone was teaching me numerology once, and 4. This is so ironic. 4 in numerology is supposed to be the number of like stability and structure, and like I was like, I think 2020 came in the wrong 4 year, right? Like, really?
Yeah, maybe.
About this.
But the person who taught you may not know numerology so well.
But I went there and I read it. It's like, it's like 1 is supposed to be like, of course, it's always the beginning, right? 2 is the diplomat, 3 is the artist, 4 is the structure firm, blah blah blah. 5 is change. 5 is change. I'm like, okay, so if all this change is happening in 2020, what the heck is going to happen in 2021?
I do not want to know. I do not wish to know this.
Oh my God, Suman, this is so awesome. Wow, it's been too long since we spoke. Thank you for coming on the show. And I'm not even sure where to start. whether it's congrats on the wedding, which I missed. What was it, in 2006? Or on your daughter, or on your fabulous career. So I just have to say big congratulations, 40 under 40 India business people, not women, people. I mean, wow. Tell me about that. What is this award? I mean, I think I know what it is, but tell me what it really means in the country of over 1 billion people.
Thank you, Abam. Thank you. So this is Economic Times 40 under 40. And every year, it's over maybe the last 5-6 years, Economic Times has started recognizing 40 people who are under the age of 40 across all spheres of business, professional. You can be entrepreneurs or professional career people or lawyers or consultants, etc. So the way this is done is the Spencer Stuart, which is the global recruiting agency, they through their network pick up resumes or pick up the names of these people from different spheres of life, and there's a very eminent jury which is chaired by managing directors and chairpersons of several of the large companies in India, and they decide. So it's not, they don't interview us, they just look at a body of work and maybe they check in with our companies and then they decide. So it was quite a big surprise for me when I got that email saying you are in this year's 40 under 40, because I had not applied. The thing was, just earlier that year, I was recognized in the ET Women Ahead, Economic Times Women Ahead. So they recognized some 20 women and I was on that list. So it's fine, it's women ahead, but it's great. And then comes this 40 under 40. So they had all my details and they just put it in this thing and I got selected or recognized. So it was a fabulous event. I got to meet a lot of my peers in the industry and really allowed us to sort of expand our network.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And I am not surprised about any of that. I mean, when you were in business school, you were about your business. Whatever the rest of us were doing over there was whatever we were doing, but you were about your business. So none of these surprises. Maybe right after school, you went off to McKinsey, and then you've just been doing all this stuff. And as we speak, it just occurred to me, I haven't actually asked you to introduce yourself to the audience. So please tell the audience who you are.
I am a band's friend. That's who I am. And otherwise, I'm Suman Mishra. I live in India and currently, and as I'm a working professional, I'm the senior vice president of group strategy in the Mahindra group, which is a large conglomerate. I have a 5-year-old daughter, and I do practice a bunch of yoga. So, but I think overall, I describe myself as a grounded person and a happy person. So that's who I am.
Yeah. And you've been that since this whole thing started. We've been laughing the last however long we've been speaking. So Suman, I know that you're short on time and there are a number of things that I want to hit. So I usually start with professional life, but I'm not going to start there. I'm going to start with the heart, because when we were in school, I got to know, you and I were roommates actually, and your 2 years in business school, we were roommates, and I got to know a certain gentleman through you who eventually became your husband. Just share. I don't get a chance to do this often on this show, which is to tell a love story. So if you don't mind, just share a little bit about you and Adarsh.
Absolutely. As you know, Adarsh and I met in business school. We were in Ross together. We were actually in the same section. And we got along fabulously. I think it was love from the get-go, although we tried not to, but it didn't work. Nothing worked. And there was just a meeting of minds, I feel. I think our value systems and who we were as people or what we wanted to do, it sort of gelled well and matched well. And I think whatever would have happened or not happened, when our when my parents basically put their foot down, said, no way you can marry outside your culture, outside your caste, etc., which is the traditional Indian thinking that you should marry within your community. That really made me ensure that we got together. I mean, maybe a little bit of defiance, but also a little bit like, it's my life. Let me choose who I want to stay with. But it has been a fabulous journey so far. Sometimes I tell this story, like my parents were pretty sure that they didn't want me to marry this person who was outside the community. And one fine day, they introduced my husband, Adarsh, to their, family and friends and said, no, this is Adarsh. He's such a great boy. We found him for our daughter's wedding. And, yes.
So they completely forgot that you brought him and they said no.
I suppose all parents get around, but it has been a great experience for us. I mean, we are really soulmates and friends, and there's a lot of respect and support, because life has its ups and downs and crazy turnarounds, and you just kind of need to be there. And more than anything else, I think you have to just respect the other person, and really support them when they need it. I think that has been there for me. I'm really lucky. And so, and especially with the birth of my little kid, that has really reinforced itself, because, she's the love of our life, and she keeps us vibrant and on our toes all the time. So it's been quite great, I think. Personally, I have been pretty lucky.
That's awesome. There are some people who don't fully understand when you talk about a caste system or aspect of your culture, what that means. Because in some parts, even in Cameroon, right, sometimes they'll say you can't marry a boy from a different tribe. But in India, this is like a really highly specific thing. So give us a sense of context, what it means to not marry outside of your caste.
And this is a very old Vedic ritual. So there are supposed to be 4 castes, and Brahmins and Kshatriyas and so on and so forth. There are 4 castes, Vaishyas and Shaivas and so on. Now, what has happened over time is, for us, it was 2 parts. So I am a Brahmin and he's a Kshatriya, and that is sort of inside, nobody really explicitly talks about it. But even today, people would much rather you marry within your caste. Now, that works when you choose to marry within, say, your language or community lines. So when I say community, I belong to a state called Odisha. We all speak Odia. Our food, our culture, everything is a little bit different than Adarsh, who belongs to Bihar. They speak Bihari. And so not only did we go across these 2 communities, but we also went across castes. And I think at some point our parents, basically both sides, just sort of gave up, like, we don't know how to deal with this, so we'll get along. And
even the defiance galore, both of you, it's like defiance on both sides.
It doesn't, you don't think about it. Like, so the thing is, I never grew up knowing all these things. We were just Brahmins, we used to pray, whatever. I mean, it was just normal. And we never knew that there was any kind of inbuilt discrimination against other castes or other communities. But it so happens that when girls or boys in India get married, the parents somehow remember all these traditional rules and come to the forefront and say, now we shall implement all these crazy rules. Because, growing up, you will just not hear about these things mostly. Because mine was a little bit more modern and supportive family. I never heard about this until I'm like, I want to marry this boy. And they're like, no, he's a Bihari. I'm like, excuse me?
Yeah, like, what does that got to do with me?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, but it's still it's just, I was being a bit flippant, but it is still deeply rooted in most of the societies in India. Caste is a big thing, especially when it comes to marriage. I don't think in most other situations you will see this or experience this, but when it comes to marriage, people strictly choose to marry within their little square boxes. There is some logic, I'm sure, for this, because, you know, the language is the same, the food practices are the same, the parents can build a relationship with each other. But in today's, you know, hyper mobile and hyper connected society, is there a place for this? I don't think so.
Yeah. Interesting. Very interesting. So in this context, then, not to perpetuate this, but I just want to understand how societies work. So what is your daughter considered?
I don't know. We just choose, we just decided that she is not going to have any exposure to any of this. But her last name is my husband's last name. That is just how it goes in legal term. Only recently did the government of India allow you to put your mother's name in the passports as the primary, parent. It just happened recently, a few years ago, I think, because, you know, there were a lot of single mothers, and then there is this problem: if the father is not living, then how can you not put your father not living with us? Then why will I put his name, etc., etc. So only recently this was allowed, but traditionally they take the name of the father's last name. But, you know, she is going to be, we live in Bombay, she's exposed to all kinds of culture, all kinds of people. I mean, we consider she's going to be a global citizen. We are pretty sure of that. So I don't want to perpetuate all this stuff with her, even if she gets married to whoever. I have no problem.
Yeah. No, that's fantastic. So the other thing I want to talk about is coming to the professional sphere. A lot has been said about gender rights in the workplace. I cannot imagine that how tough your journey was to get to where you, I mean, senior vice president at your company. I mean, that is no small feat, right? Yesterday, a friend and I were looking at a number of really large corporations, right? And going, how many women do we have at that senior level and one level down? So C-suite and C-suite -1. And how many people of color do we have at C-suite and C-suite -1? Let's just say it wasn't promising. So Suman, what is the driving force behind your success? Because when we left school, I know you went to McKinsey, and then the next thing I know, you were just, every other time there was something about you in the papers. I was like, where is this woman going? So what has your journey been, and what, especially as a woman, how have you navigated to get into the senior echelons of your company?
Yeah, and this is, of course, the most perpetual topic, right? I am one of the 4 women in the top 100 of Mahindra Group. So it's a single-digit percentage. It's not even anywhere close to 10%, and so on and so forth. And this problem is there. 200,000 employees.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, those numbers are abysmal. But then that's what makes you even more impressive at the same time. Okay, carry on.
So we talk about this often, right? And there are a few ways I like to decompose this in my head. One is sort of the woman's perspective and what she can do. And one is, of course, the company's perspective and what they can do. Needless to say, if 96% of the people around you are of a certain type, whatever type it may be, in this case, it happens to be male. In some other cases, it is race. You know, some cases it will be religion, but whatever type it might be, the majority, the stereotypes, the rules are all meant for this 96%, right? So this is what we face today, is that the systems are designed and run by people who may not fully appreciate the challenges of being diverse or being different. That thus, if you're in it, if you're a senior women leader as you are, as I am, we try to then influence the system to try and make it more friendly, more welcoming. You know, we make the retention programs, we make the leadership programs for women to train them, to develop them, to just increase the percentages there. as a McKinsey study said, at this rate, it will take us 100 years to have an equal seat at the table. So this is the problem. This is the problem that we face. And at the same time, this is perpetuated by sort of the dual burden that you have to carry at home, right? And you have to take care of your family, kid, etc., etc. It is sort of, and in an Indian context, it's even worse, right? It's naturally assumed. And I was just telling my friends that I think this lockdown has been one of the worst reinforcers. All women have just been relegated back to the kitchen and cleaning and dishes because we lost all our help and support. Like, as you know, we have a lot of helpers in India who come and do this work. Now all the mothers and the women are doing this work. So I don't know what it is going to do to get back to the equal position. So all my male colleagues who work, they just look, we do so many calls and videos and so on. And they appreciate that the wife has to work a lot, but how many of them are really stepping up and doing whatever they're to help out at home? It's probably minuscule. And some of them have really acknowledged that, we really do not contribute even close to 50%, maybe 20%, how important is my help? That, oh, we understand you. You have to do home, you have to manage a child, you have to do the work. It must be pretty hard for you.
And you have a job.
And you have a job. So yeah, you have to do the work. So anyway, so this is the situation, or this is the hand that we are dealt with. And for me, while we will all try and change the hand and the colors of the card that we are dealt with, but I have always taken this attitude that, I will try my best. And I'm not going to take no for an answer. I will ask for a seat at the table. I believe in myself. I'm confident about my capabilities. And I will ask for a seat at the table. And, whenever I get the seat at the table, I will just prove myself. So I have actually, maybe long time ago in my career, and probably had to do with all these, diverse experiences from growing up in a small town in India, to moving to Singapore to do my college and starting my work, to going to the US, Michigan, and then working in McKinsey, then going back to India. So, and then working in a few other countries for projects, etc. That sort of gave you that perspective that, okay, you can trust yourself. You're a reasonably capable person. So after that, I have just said that, I will just put my best foot forward and I will get the seat at the table. And once you have that confidence, or you can able to trust yourself, I think, as you probably more better than me, you will get the seat at the table. But it is an uphill journey. You have to really put out your best self every single day. I do think that people are engaged by different standards, men and women, and women have to sort of always perform better than men to get the same seat at the table. But at the same time, when I see my colleagues, like my younger junior colleagues in the workforce, and there are many, okay, we start the ratios at around 30% at the intake, and we end up at 4% at the senior most level. So a lot of these 30%, it's their situations in life. Maybe they did not have the supportive husband, the supportive families, or the financial wealth to get the nannies and the helpers to help out with their kids, or they simply just said, I cannot deal with this. And a lot of them are very willing to it's okay. It's just career is a part of my life, and my life is more than career. So I'm not going to just push only on the career leg. I will do everything, and I'm content. And I've seen a lot of women who have done that, and I don't judge anybody, everybody, their situation is different. But I just wish that there were more who, really wanted to push ahead and get more and more seats at the table. And then maybe when all around you, you would see more representation, you would then think about equality. So there was one organization I worked with, which is CIPLA, which in between I worked there for a couple of years. And they really did not need a gender committee or anything, because 30% of the top management was women. So the vice chairperson, the head of R&D, quality, they were all women. And because of this, you didn't need committees. Everything used to happen seamlessly, the whole ramping down and ramping up.
Yeah. I always wonder how some companies just figure it out and get it done, and others are still dragging and giving excuses about women don't want these positions. Women don't want to do all this work. And I'm like, did you ask the women? Or did you just decide you don't want to work? Was there a conversation that happened that I missed? Yeah. So no, I mean, it is, I think it continues to be a challenge. And one of the things that you talked about is, asking for a seat at the table. And I find that even when you get there, right, it's almost like a constant push. And,
Yeah.
and in a way, it might be easier at the lower echelons of the company because there's strength in numbers, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you start to get high up there where the nosebleed section is, it's like how many women do you have? 3, 4? Very few. Then there aren't any numbers to really talk about in terms of kind of the pushback. So you're doing impressive work. I'm glad to hear that you're continuing to drive the inclusion and diversity agenda. And in doing all of this, you picked up a new, I don't want to call it a hobby because you treat it as more than just a hobby, which is your yoga. So I've been watching your Instagram feed over the last year, I think it is, and you're taking this really seriously. Have you done yoga before? Or is it something that you just picked up recently? And if so, what brought you to it?
So, my mother has been practicing for 30 years and she also teaches. I mean, this is not her profession. She just used to do it on the side. So I've always been around, seeing this. And personally, I have gone on and off yoga. Sometimes I used to just perceive it as a physical activity. So I used to just do it. Sometimes I practiced in Chicago when we lived there for some time. But last 3 years, actually, after my daughter was born, about 1 year after that, I had really problems with my knees. So the physio advised that you please don't jump on the treadmill and do all those activities. Can you try something more balancing, gentler, like yoga? Yeah, gentler. So that's how I started. And that was 3 years ago. And now I have almost daily practice. And I think the whole physical aspect of it, great. But it has sort of subsumed itself into the background. And now I am like a true student of yoga. I really wish to achieve sort of the inner state of yoga, which is so difficult to do, which is the chitta vritti, nirodha, or to calm the disturbances in the mind in a simplistic sense. So that's what I hope to achieve. And so the practice is there, the physical practice is there. And I try to and do some breathing practices or some meditation around it. But I have really gotten a lot out of it in the last 3 years, which is what, lets me just keep going in there and really learning about myself, about my body, but also my mind. And I think as a overall thing, it happened to me at the right time when I had a little kid, a very strenuous career, and a lot of work. And I really needed something to balance it out. And so glad that it happened to me then, because you do need something that roots you. And for me, yoga has been that thing that grounds me and roots me and, helps me keep it real, because things are not easy in today's scenario.
Yeah. So tell me just a few things in very concrete terms that yoga has helped you with, because I'm very interested in this area. I practiced yoga for a number of years, fell off the bandwagon last year, picked up again before COVID-19, and have just dropped off again. And 2 or 3 weeks ago, we had one of the guests came on to talk about spirituality and yoga. And so she talked about it at a very spiritual level. And a lot of people who practice it, especially out in the West, at the more, I would say, physical level, so to speak. So for you, what have been some really concrete examples of outcomes or benefits that you've had?
So maybe the thing that pops to my mind is, if you want to do yoga, you cannot just depend on going to class 2 times a week or 3 times a week. You have to get up every morning and do it yourself. You have to get the mat out. I mean, if this is all you do, you should probably do it at home, because after the 50th class, you already learned enough to do it at home, I'm sure.
That is true.
So,
That is very true.
so for me, I mean, it has been, because it's very difficult to go to class every morning when I have to wake up very early at 5:30 and do it from 6 to 7 or something before my kid wakes up, basically. Otherwise, I'll never get time for that. So first and foremost was actually being able to get to this situation. I've gone through the phases. I used to have a trainer come to my house every day. I used to use this and that, the video, go to classes, everything I've tried. But then finally, when I decided enough is enough, I need to get up. I know enough. Let me just do the practice daily. And while you're doing the practice, that is so number one, just accepting that just a simple thing, that getting up every morning and going to the mat, that kind of discipline, it's just so hard to get. And it is for yourself, right? It is 100% for your own benefit. But
yes.
You know it. Even if I sleep at 10 o'clock in the night, there is no excuse. I would rather watch Netflix for 2 hours than wake up in the morning and do my yoga. So what is going on in my head, right? And this thing, it has just taken me so long to appreciate that, this is your time. This is for you. You need to take care of yourself. Nobody else will. That was number one lesson. The number two was, there are so many poses that are inaccessible, that are difficult. You put in your effort and you will see over a year, 1 year later, I can do it. There are so many binds, twists, this, that. And it took me 1 year to get one basic bind.
God.
And I did it every day. And, it just teaches you the both aspects, right? One is that not everything is in your hand. You just wish and you are not going to get it. You have to put in the work. So, and the physicality of it, right? This just getting that bind. And I remember so many classes, so many instructors later, and all it took was doing it every single day. So it really keeps you humble. I think from a physical perspective, it has kept me humble that, there are so many handstands I cannot do. Maybe I will do one headstand and then there's somebody else with both their hands in the air, right? Okay. There's so many things you cannot do. And it's such a long journey. So it removes the type A part of you completely.
Yeah. Yoga is extremely humbling. That whole idea, people doing all kinds of things. I think, is it the pigeon? Is it that one where you're
the pigeon, the king pigeon?
Like your hand between your legs, and you're trying to lift yourself. I cannot find my balance. I've tried this for 3 years, and I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to plant my face into the ground. I'm just going to let this one go.
Is that, are you talking about the crow? You might be talking about the crow, the bakasan.
Oh, the crow,
yeah,
not the pigeon, the crow. Yes. Headstands are done, but the crow, I'm like, you know what, Birdie? I can't, you and I can't get on the same wavelength.
And everybody has their thing, right? Every person who does it, that no body is perfect. Like no human body is perfectly designed to do everything. So everybody will have their challenge. And that is a thing that it really keeps you grounded and real. It makes you humble. And finally, of course, the other physical aspect, since you asked for so many concrete things, the other physical aspect is when you do it and you want to do it daily, your food changes, your diet changes, the appreciation of sort of everything else, somehow how you live, how you work, everything starts changing. I was reading some quote by B.K. Iyengar. He says that what changes is you change. It's not just your perception of things or how or the things around you that change. You fundamentally change. As you're changing your body, you're also changing your mind. You're bringing everything into balance and harmony, and you change, and how you perceive everything change. So the one thing it has done for me is taught me patience. I mean, I just not used to be a patient person. I wanted everything now. I'm a very type A go-getter. I am not patient.
If you could learn under a female leader, would you learn under Indira Nooyi or Sheryl Sandberg?
Indira Nooyi.
Where did you have more, my voice, what's going on? Where did you have more fun? Undergraduate in Singapore or business school in Michigan?
Business school in Michigan. Wink, wink.
Imagine you are a Bollywood leading lady.
Oh.
And Who would you prefer as a leading man? Hrithik Roshan or Shah Rukh Khan?
Oh, Hrithik Roshan. Okay, I don't know. Indifferent to both, but let's pick Hrithik Roshan.
On holiday, would you rather go to Ladakh or Manali?
Ladakh.
Okay. If you could pick between two goddesses, would you rather be Shakti or Athena?
I will be Shakti. I mean, I'm so type A. This is
All right. For a night out with Adesh, would you rather have Italian or local cuisine?
Italian. I'm not a fan of local cuisine. It all tastes the same.
Okay. In terms of history, are you a bigger fan of the history of ancient Rome or ancient Greece?
I would say Greece, probably.
Okay. If you had to pick one country in Africa to visit, would you rather visit Kenya or Ghana?
See, I've visited Kenya so many times and I really love it. So maybe I'll go with Kenya. I love it. I've at least been there 15 times. So
oh, wow.
I'll still visit Kenya. Yeah.
For business or for fun?
Mostly for business, but all the business was tail-ended with some fun. So I just love the country.
I love how you put that. Wrapped in some fun with the business. So when you're going out for formal occasions, do you prefer to wear a lehenga or a sari?
I mean, if I could wear a sari by myself, I would prefer a sari. But just the sheer practicality of it, probably I will have to wear a lehenga because definitely I can wear that on my own. But sari, I need help.
Oh my gosh. Were you just funny in law, in business school, or did you just get funnier?
I don't know. I've always been funny about...
This is really hilarious. It's because we haven't talked in a long time. I'm like, sorry, you're killing me over here. Okay, the last question. Given the choice between becoming the CEO at Mahindra or the Prime Minister of India, which one would you rather do?
If I could either, I would become the Prime Minister of India and make some changes. But I probably won't. And therefore, the other one is what I should try and pursue.
It's more feasible?
I don't know if it's feasible, but at least it's, in the realm of things, it's there.
I asked that particular question because I'm usually trying to understand whether people are inherently politicians or would run for office or wouldn't. So in your case, that tells me potentially you're interested in politics.
I think it is this question would have always been professional CEO as an answer. But looking at today, looking at where we are with where the world is going, I mean, if you gave me the choice, why would I not? If I can change some things, improve some things. It's really a current situation. Otherwise, I would never, ever want to become a politician out of my own doing. But if, just look at the world today, look at the climate crisis, the migrant crisis, the health crisis, the race crisis. I don't know if the leaders of the world are doing such a great job. So maybe I should pitch my hat into the ring as well.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Well, Suman, this has been it's been so great to catch up, and I'm sorry that it took the podcast to actually get us on the phone, but I'm glad we finally did. It was wonderful, and like I told you when we were exchanging on IG, you don't realize what a phenomenal job you've done, and all these things for you. You kind of think, okay, I'm just a regular girl doing my regular stuff, and you are, but you are doing some phenomenal work, and I'm so thrilled to hear that you continue to pave the way for other women, and you continue to be socially conscious and socially engaged, and your little girl is absolutely lucky to have you, as is Adesh.
Thank you, Abam, and you continue to inspire me as always.
All right, my dear roommate, it was so lovely to talk to you. I'll let you get on with your day. Thank you so much, and come back to visit us, and please bring Addie with you next time.
Will do. Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of Mama Talks A Different Take. I'm your host, AB Mambo, and for more diverse perspectives on everyday issues from everyday people around the world, join us next week as we explore the world of tarot with Susan T. Chang and education in Singapore with Sam Neo. Until then, stay safe and take care.